everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the family trees of some of your favourite celebrities. You won't believe the iconic figures these Hollywood stars are related to. From royalty to historical pioneers, stick around to find out which famous faces have deep roots in history that will blow your mind.
I've involved you in something terrible that's about to happen. You are
Shut up.
You're not safe.
Shut up!
Alright, let's start with the amazing Helena Bonham Carter. She's known for playing all these quirky, eccentric roles, but get this, her family is just as remarkable. Her great-grandfather? None other than Herbert Henry Asquith, the British Prime Minister during World War I. But here's where it gets crazy. Her grandmother, Violet Bonham Carter, was such a fierce anti-fascist that she ended up on Hitler's infamous Black Book list, meaning if the Nazis had won, they planned to arrest her. Helena actually dug into her family history on a British genealogy show and said every young person should go interview their grandparents. Like, she's not just royalty in Hollywood, she's got some serious political heritage behind her too.
If it's a war Aslan wants, it's a war he shall get.
Tilda Swinton is one of those actors who seems like she's from another world. Turns out her family practically is. Her ancestors go back over 1,000 years in Scotland, which is just mind-blowing. Among them, Robert the Bruce, the legendary Scottish king who fought for independence. You know that guy from Braveheart and Outlaw King? Yeah, that's Tilda's bloodline.
Best to wait, Robert. Gather our strength.
No, I'm done with running and I'm sick of hiding.
Her family's written records go so far back it feels like something out of a historical epic. She hasn't played any of her own ancestors on screen yet, but honestly, with that lineage, she could totally star in a movie about her family's history.
You were absolutely and totally right.
I know. Stop talking and get out.
Yep.
Okay, Rashida Jones is another one that's got deep roots in history, but it's a total blend of American royalty and European kings. On her dad, Quincy Jones's side, she's related to King Edward I, aka the Hammer of the Scots, and get this, George Washington's sister, Betty Washington Lewis. Like, Rashida is one degree away from the founding father of America. No wonder she's so talented and polished. It feels like she's got history coursing through her veins.
Where the hell do you think you're going?
Excuse me?
Hey, you look at me when I'm talking to you, you bitch. Mr. Stampler, you baby, come here.
This one blew my mind. Edward Norton, the guy who played Bruce Banner and starred in Fight Club, is a direct descendant of Pocahontas. Yeah, the same Pocahontas who saved John Smith and married John Rolfe. Through finding your roots, Norton learned that Pocahontas is his 12th great-grandmother. Imagine finding out that you're connected to one of the most iconic figures in American history. He said it really made him realize just how small a piece we all are in the larger human story. And honestly, that's got to be humbling.
We've got some exclusive news, Swifties. How about she is actually related to one of the biggest names in literary history?
What?
So here's one for all you Swifties. Taylor Swift is actually related to Emily Dickinson. Both of them descend from a 17th century English settler in Connecticut. Swift has compared herself to old school poets in the past, saying her lyrics sometimes sound like something written by Dickinson's great-grandmother, and now we know why. It's literally in her blood. How wild is it to think that two incredibly gifted writers from such different eras are actually part of the same family tree?
You've never kissed me, you know.
Oh, I've kissed you a million times.
Then I expect you're incredibly good at it.
Now let's talk about Rose Leslie, or as Game of Thrones fans know her, Ygritte.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Not only did she grow up in a literal castle in Scotland, but she's also directly descended from King Charles II. Like, the fact that she played a wildling in Game of Thrones is hilarious when you realise she's actually got royal blood. Her family's castle, Licklihead, is a 16th century relic, and her historical roots are just as grand as the fantasy worlds she acts in.
You do not command me.
I wasn't commanding you.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, Lloyd, who played Viserys Targaryen, has a literary legacy that's hard to top. He's the great-great-great-grandson of Charles Dickens, one of the most famous authors in the English-speaking world. Dickens wasn't just an author, he was a cultural force, shedding light on poverty and social injustices. Harry's got that kind of artistic legacy baked into his DNA, which makes his acting pedigree even more fascinating. Alright, you probably know Anderson Cooper as the sharp silver-haired journalist, but did you know he's practically American royalty? His mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, belonged to the legendary Vanderbilt family, who once held one of the biggest fortunes in America. Anderson's great-great-great-grandfather was Cornelius Vanderbilt, the railroad tycoon who built an empire. Even though the family's wealth mostly vanished through lavish spending, the legacy of the Vanderbilts is still alive, especially with Anderson continuing the family tradition of making a huge impact on the world. Michaa Strauss, aka King Princess, has Titanic-level history, literally. Her great-great-grandfather was Isidore Strauss, the co-owner of Macy's who went down with the Titanic. He and his wife Ida famously refused to be separated as the ship sank, choosing to die together.
We've been together for 40 years, and where you go, I go. Don't argue with me, Isidore.
That kind of dramatic, historical event puts her roots right at the heart of American culture and business.
Tonight I saw the man who killed my whole family. Perhaps the gods spared me for a reason.
How about this for some historical drama? Kit Harington's ancestor, Robert Catesby, was the mastermind behind the gunpowder plot, the plan to blow up Parliament in 1605. And if that wasn't wild enough, Kit actually played Catesby in the TV show Gunpowder, so he literally stepped into his ancestor's shoes. Kit's family also includes Sir John Harrington, who invented the flush toilet. That's some serious multitasking when it comes to a family legacy.
What is it? You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
Cary Elwes's ancestor, John Elwes, was such a notorious miser that he inspired Charles Dickens's Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. Can you imagine having someone in your family who was so stingy that he became the symbol of greed for all time? Elwes, though, took the opposite route, starring in light-hearted films like The Princess Bride, but you've got to appreciate the irony.
The entire eastern half of the empire, that if there is the least resistance to my orders, I will destroy them.
Christopher Plummer was born into Canadian royalty, so to speak. His great-grandfather was Sir John Abbott, the Prime Minister of Canada. Abbott didn't exactly love politics. He once said he hated it, but he made history nonetheless by becoming the first Canadian-born leader of the country. Plummer's talent and grace on screen seem almost inevitable when you look at the legacy of leadership and achievement in his family.
Come down, Saruman, and your life will be spared. Save your pity and your mercy. I have no use for it.
Christopher Lee, the man who made Dracula and Saruman iconic, claimed to be a descendant of Charlemagne. And honestly, it checks out. Lee had that aura of nobility. Not only was he related to one of Europe's greatest medieval rulers, but he also embraced his heritage by releasing 2 symphonic metal albums about Charlemagne. Yes, this legendary actor was also a metal musician, channeling his ancestors' warrior spirit into epic songs. Riz Ahmed's ancestor, Sir Shah Muhammad Sulayman, was a game-changer in colonial India. He was the first Indian judge appointed by the British in Uttar Pradesh, smashing through racial barriers in a time when that kind of achievement was nearly impossible. Like Ahmed, Sulayman had a wide range of talents. He was not only a judge but also a mathematician and an advocate for education. No wonder Riz is such a trailblazer in his own right.
By the time this is over, every one of you is going to be face down on the floor, and I'm going to moonwalk out of here.
Finally, we've got Drew Barrymore, who comes from one of Hollywood's oldest and most legendary acting families. Her great-grandparents, John Barrymore and Dolores Costello, were silent film stars who helped define what it meant to be a celebrity in the early 20th century. With such a rich acting heritage, it's no surprise that Drew has become one of the most beloved actresses of her generation, carrying on the Barrymore legacy with style. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed discovering these mind-blowing celebrity connections, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more awesome content. Drop a comment below with which celeb's ancestor surprised you the most. That's all for today, and I'll see you next time.